Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Media Couple podcast. Thank you so much for being here with us on episode number 10 of all numbers. Very exciting. We're on episode number 10. We're on location number 3. It's all happening. We're here. We're ready to go. We've got lots on the agenda today. Lots to talk about. 3 different topics and a Rotten Tomatoes game. Who knew? But yeah, it's going to be a good one. How are you today, Rory? Do you want to bring us through what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, thanks. I'm good. As you said, episode 10, so I'm very excited. Very excited. As you can see, we're in another location because we can never sit still at the Media Couple.
Yeah, does this make us seasoned podcasters now that we're on 10 episodes?
Double figures, I think so. I knew we'd make it. It's not been pretty, but we're here.
Listen, we managed to make it through a move, 2 different locations.
Even moved the dog.
Moving the dog. So here we are. We're here rocking. And we're here to stay.
We're here to stay. Well, yeah.
Until we decide to change up again.
Next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, today, really exciting episode we've got. So first of all, we're going to talk about the casting of the Harry Potter TV series.
Yes.
Then we're going to be moving on to talk about the Glastonbury headliners who've been confirmed. Just give our take on what we think of them. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to finish off with Love, Meghan.
Ooh.
Which I'm quite excited to talk about it. So I'm excited to speak about those things.
Yeah, no, it should be good, definitely.
Yeah.
I think there's a few controversial moments in here coming up. So yeah, stick around. And whilst we've got you guys, please, if you are watching this on YouTube, please do drop us a like, a subscribe, or even give us a comment. It really does help. And I thought I'd just get that in there before we get, too deep into the stuff. But other than that, and if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, listen, or Spotify, listen more.
Yeah, please leave us a review on there as well. It really does help us, guys. And as always, thank you so much for your continued support. It means the world to us.
It really does.
It really does. Thank you.
But yeah, do you want to dive in?
I do, actually, yeah. I want to start with talking about the Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
So we know, for starters, that John Lithgow, he has been cast to play Dumbledore.
Yeah, he's official, isn't he?
He's official. He is official. He was like the number one.
I think he's a really good casting.
You think he's a good casting?
I think he's.
What do you feel about the fact that it's an American playing Dumbledore this time? Because obviously before, I think, was it
Michael Gambon?
Michael Gambon, yeah, and then before that, was it Peter O'Toole? Oh, I can't remember. But yes, what do you feel about an American playing Albus Dumbledore?
Yeah, I understand it. I mean, generally, the whole HBO making a Harry Potter series this soon after the last one ended, I think is a little weird anyways.
Yeah.
I think it's too soon. Mm-hmm. There's people who still love the Harry Potter series in the movie form. And to ask us to go back into that world and believe us a whole new set of cast members and characters and kind of forget about the old ones, I think it is not the right timing. I feel like...
for the series as a whole, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because if you think about it, we were the generation of children who read those books and watched those films.
Yeah.
And we grew up with, Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint and, what's her name?
Emma Watson.
I was
like, how can you forget Hermione?
Classic. Just brain freeze. But yeah, like we grew up with them.
Yeah.
So, and I do agree with you. Yeah, like the last film, was it in 2010 or something like that?
I think it came out in 2011.
2011. Yeah, so it is weird that we're already having a revamp of such a famous film series.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think it's not even 15 years later.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of feel a little bit like it's too soon. People still love those films.
Yeah.
So I also worry that because it's too soon, it's not really going to take, whoever is going to get cast is going to be wrong in everybody's mind.
But do you think that HBO are doing it, and like J.K. Rowling, do you think they're doing it because they're like, right, now's the time where all the kids who were our fans growing up, they're all adults now. They're our age. We now need to entice a new generation of children to follow us, basically.
Then come up with a new story.
True. Yeah.
Do we need to rehash this into a series?
Yep.
Don't know. I don't think we necessarily need to. I think there's an issue that these big major broadcasters and companies and streamers have with coming up with new kind of content that's exciting.
Yeah.
Harry Potter was so great because those books were such a success. Let's focus on creating new stories for children.
I do agree with you. Do you know what's weird? I saw a really interesting like TikTok the other day of this guy, and he was just saying like, don't you find like we don't really have many movies that are just like random anymore, that just have really good storylines? It's like big studios and like big brands just want to be like, right, we've got this franchise that we know made us hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah. We're just going to reinvest in that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that's the problem that's happening. Nobody's coming up with new franchise opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. It's Marvel and Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, you think about the Harry Potter films. They went off and did the Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
Afterwards. Okay. We say what you want about those films. At least they weren't trying to recast Harry Potter, but they definitely tried to capitalize on the success that Harry Potter was.
Yeah.
I think Harry Potter was so good because it was only 8 films.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
You had those 8. I mean, they even eked out two
for
of
the Deathly
books.
Hallows, didn't it? Yeah.
Exactly.
For the last one, it was part 1, part 2. Yeah.
Which was a weird choice because that wasn't the longest book anyways.
No, it was a short book, but that's fair. That's fine. Like it got to that point in it where they just wanted to stretch out the income.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, I don't know, I think it might potentially be too soon. I think if they don't get it spot on, everyone's going to hate it. If it doesn't have the same nostalgia that you get from those features, those films that we all grew up with, everyone's going to hate it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel like it gives off the same energy and the same vibe.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know, I think John Lithgow is a great cast. Am I particularly excited by this series? No. And I love the Harry Potter films.
Yeah, you're a big fan. Big fan.
I love the Harry Potter films. I love the series and I love the story. Do I think this is going to be good? I don't have high hopes. Not going to lie. Now, please prove me wrong.
Do you know what's interesting though? You're talking about, like we were talking earlier about like safeguarding the IP. They're doing it at Leavesden Studios, right? Which is the exact same studio they shot the films at. So they're staying safe in that area.
It's a studio lot. Like,
no, I know, but it's more just like they're staying safe with going back to what they know, right? So they are having like HBO's got this now, right? Who had nothing to do with it before. So now they're going back to that same place where they're familiar with it. So it's kind of like, are they going to bring crew back and stuff who worked on the films to come back and work on the series and stuff like that? Be interesting to see. But to continue on with the casting, we do have 2 more people who haven't been confirmed but are in the pipeline. Emmy-nominated actress Janet McTeer is in negotiations to play Professor McGonagall. So if you know her or are familiar with her, she was in The Menu, the film with Ray Fiennes, and she was also in Ozark as well. She's actually a bit younger than what Maggie Smith was when she was cast in it. So I think they're going to go for a bit more of like a younger Minerva in the series, as opposed to the older Minerva with Maggie Smith's character.
I think it's interesting considering they've also cast John Lithgow.
Yes.
Because Dumbledore and Minerva, Albus and McGonagall are supposed to... Hang on.
You said that was really interesting. You said their first and last name, like, but opposites.
I know.
Yeah. Did I do that? Is that why you did it? Because you were like Minerva and Dumbledore.
Hang on, something's going on here in my brain. You know what I mean?
I got it.
The 2 of them.
Did you get it? That's what I'm saying.
They were just as lost.
No idea.
I think those 2 essentially. But they were friends, right?
Yeah, of course.
So they need to be in similar age groups.
Similar age groups,
And I don't think they are. Correct me if I'm wrong. But
I mean, they're not far off, I don't think. But yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting that they're potentially casting somebody a little bit younger, I think.
Yeah, I think they're going to try and go a little bit younger with all of the characters this time, probably to try and appeal to a younger audience.
No. It's for longevity.
Well, yeah, of course.
It's for longevity.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I should have touched on that. They're actually, as well, they're hoping the show runs for 10 years.
Yeah,
that's what they want.
Of course they are.
Yeah, well, that's what they want.
Of course
that's what they want. They sort of want it to run for 10 years.
So they're casting with the intent, because if you remember, Dumbledore, the actor who played Dumbledore in the first 2, died.
Yes, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they're casting for longevity as
for
well.
protection, yeah.
I mean, does that serve the story?
I mean, yeah, no, I get it. I mean,
I think it's, I don't know, this whole Harry Potter HBO thing, I don't know. I have uneasy feelings about it because if it's wrong, it's going to really annoy me. Do you know what I mean, though?
But then, do you know what? You don't have to watch it.
I know, but I will have to watch it.
And we will talk about it on this podcast.
Exactly. But if it's wrong, it's just going to make me more annoyed than anything because I feel like it's so, those characters were so important to me that I just don't want anybody to mess with that magic.
Mm-hmm. Like we did there. Magic.
And
no, I get it. I get it. But
spin-offs have never been.
Well, sometimes they have been all right. Like some of the Star Wars stuff they did with that. I mean, granted, so a lot of them aren't.
Sorry. So, did you like the Star Wars spin-off?
Well, I liked Andor. I wasn't a huge fan of the Book of Boba Fett. I really wasn't a fan of it. Disney can't do chase scenes. That's the thing. Yeah. But hang on, keeping on with the casting. I've got one more to give you, okay? I've just got one more.
Like, just let me get through this.
Just want to get through the list. Just got to get through the list, okay? So the last person who's in the running at the moment is Papa Asidu. Now, he is in the running to play Severus Snape. So again, interesting casting. They've gone for a younger actor. Papa Asidu, he's in Gangs of London, and he's also in, do you remember that Genie film?
No.
The Christmas one with Melissa McCarthy?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's the dad in that.
Oh.
Do you know who I mean now?
Oh, God, he played a really nice guy in that.
Yeah. Well, it was a Christmas film, yeah.
But Snape isn't nice.
But they've got Severus. They've cast, that he is in the front running, to play Severus. And yeah, obviously he's a lot younger as well than Alan Rickman was when he was cast to play Severus. Again, it's this theme of a lot of them. HBO is going for a young cast. They're going to try and
get the young people in. I don't know. I kind of feel sorry for all these actors because they are going to be compared so intently
to the
originals.
Yeah,
and it's not theatre. You know what I mean? You can't just keep rolling through. Because I mean, people still rewatch the Harry Potters now
every year,
like
we do at Christmas. All the time.
But they do.
I know,
right?
yeah.
So you're going to be whoever plays...
And you've still got people of our age who have children. Those kids
introducing their kids to it.
They're like,
how is it going to work?
Harry is.
Exactly. I just feel like... come on, let's think about how we can broaden out the story to other elements of the magical world and not just recreate the same story again.
Well, I think that is the idea of it. The idea is that it is going to follow the chronological order of the books, but it's going to try and delve deeper into sub-stories within the books, right? Try and give you a bit more, let's say a bit more backstory on the Black family.
I don't want a remake of that.
Right.
I don't want the remake again. Yeah. I want it.
New characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Do you feel differently?
No, not really. No. I'll be honest. I would have actually loved...
Sorry, I'm getting very heated.
No, I know. The passion. Guys.
Just do not mess with Harry Potter, okay?
Do not mess with it.
Big deal in my heart.
You heard it first here, HBO. All right? You've got an angry fan here. Okay. Yeah.
No, not a fan at this point.
No, not
Might
a fan.
potentially be, but not at this point. You gotta treat it with respect.
Respect.
But I don't know. Do you think differently to me? Do you think it's all going to be fine and I'm just going out on a limb?
No, I agree. I think it's a huge gamble because you've got a lot of people who are so familiar with the films themselves, and those films are they're not old enough yet. I do agree with you. When they started talking about this, bringing Harry Potter to a TV series, I was a little bit I just feel like it's too soon. And I feel as well, why couldn't they just make a whole sub-story about the Black family? Sirius and Beatrix and Bellatrix, sorry.
Beatrix Potter.
Was she not in it?
It's a different kind of Potter.
But like, I feel like I loved that side of the story with like Sirius, and then when it was like his family tree and stuff. Creature, like I would have loved a whole series about them.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Or like the Weasleys.
Yeah.
Like, why don't we take like the Harry Potter universe and just be like, right, this is like the Weasley season, and you know what I mean? Like,
also, can we touch on the fact that they are making this into a television series and not films?
Yes. Yeah.
Right, which I also think massively changes the dynamic.
Yeah.
Right, it massively changes how you're watching. It changes the whole sort of way that you watch. You know, when you're going to watch a film, it's an experience. You look forward to seeing a film every 1-2 years in a series. With a television series, with a franchise of films, with a television series, you have so much more content. You have basically 6 to 10 films every season. And I think it kind of allows for the writing to, it does two things. First of all, it allows the writing to be much more expanded, but on the other side, it also allows the writing to be a little bit, I think, lazy sometimes. It can teeter into laziness if you're not spot on.
Yeah.
Because you've got this amount of time, so you're not thinking about how every single word is going to push and sentence is going to push the story forward.
Yeah, you've obviously got a lot more time, and time is precious in a film.
Exactly.
Because you are kind of restricted.
And I worry, and I think that's what I worry about, is the writing has got to be like, I don't want a whole hour-long episode where I feel like, what was the point of watching that?
You do see that a lot more in TV shows nowadays as well.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't see that in film.
It just felt like it's like you could have got rid of 2 episodes in this season and had 8 episodes.
And it would have made zero difference.
Yeah, I get that.
Exactly.
Well, I think, who knows? We're going to have to see how it goes. But
I know. Yeah, I know how it's going to go.
You know everything.
I've told you. Yeah. You had it here first.
Swiftly moving on, we are to the Glastonbury lineup.
Yes.
Now, we are obviously fans of Glastonbury.
We're of differing opinions.
We are of differing opinions on it. So, obviously, the headliners got announced not too long ago. So, you've got the 1975.
Yep.
Neil Young.
Yep.
And Olivia Rodrigo.
Not going to lie.
What do we think? Thoughts?
Didn't know who Neil Young was.
Okay.
So
I know one song. Old man, look at my life. I'm a lot like you were.
Sounds really, really fun.
Honestly.
Look, I'm not saying that there's anything bad about Neil Young. Just clearly I am not the demographic for him.
No, you've never heard of him.
It's fine.
Talk about not being the demographic. Non-existent. That's what you are.
It's fine. The 1975.
I'm not really. They're not really my type of band.
No. Olivia Rodrigo.
Saw her the year we went. Was it 2022?
I don't know if I agree whether she's a headliner.
Yeah.
Maybe we actually are. I think we actually agree on this. We're of similar opinions.
Yeah, no, we are. We are similar opinions.
Oh.
I think it's just because we disagree so often that you're like, well, obviously we're going to disagree on this.
Yeah. No, I think.
No, I was actually like, I've seen online basically. I've seen people say, okay, I'm like really excited for the headliners, and clearly those are people who know like Neil Young and stuff like that, and the 1975, like they have their audiences. I'm just saying, in terms of past Glastonburys that I've personally been to, I wouldn't be excited by that lineup, by those headliners. I actually think
Charlie XCX is bigger than the 1975.
Really?
Having won all the Grammys.
Yeah, true.
Basically just now.
I was surprised
that Summer was everywhere last year.
It was.
Right? And for her to not be a headliner, I think was rather interesting.
I thought she was going to be, I think, over Olivia Rodrigo. I think the 1975 are quite big, but Olivia Rodrigo, I'm a bit like... But
I think Olivia Rodrigo was at Glastonbury.
She played the other stage in 2022, I think it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think what they're doing is the same thing that they did with Billie Eilish.
With Billie, yeah.
If you remember, Billie Eilish was on the other stage in 2019, which is the year we went.
Yeah.
And then she was back, and then she headlined in 2022.
Yeah, she was the headliner,
which was the other year we went.
Yeah.
So we saw her go, but 2019 she had Ocean Eyes and Bad Guy had just come out.
Yeah, yeah.
But Ocean Eyes,
she wasn't wasn't as global a superstar as what she is now. Yeah.
And then the year we went, it was like boom.
That was it.
2022 was
everywhere.
when she'd just come off the back of basically doing, having the biggest years of her career.
Yeah. All her big songs.
And up until that point. So I wonder whether Glastonbury is kind of trying to do the same thing with Olivia Rodrigo, in that she played the other stage, and okay, you've played the other stage.
You've earned it.
You've earned the pyramid stage. But I don't know, is that necessarily I get that from an artist's perspective. It's a way to do that. I don't know. I maybe it's also we're just not the demographic anymore.
Yeah.
We're not young as we used to be.
Speak for yourself. I would still go to Glastonbury.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean
I just
you're young.
wouldn't go and see 1975 Neil Young. I already did that. Or Olivia Rodrigo. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like Olivia Rodrigo's like tunes. Like, I'd listen to them, but maybe I would if I was like a bit, if I just was like walking by the pyramid stage, I'd sit and listen. But yeah, like, I just feel like in previous years they've had bigger acts, and it did get me thinking, like, is it next year's the fallow year, where they take a break for a couple of years, and things have been like quite intense at Glastonbury for the last sort of 5 years. They've had a lot of big acts, a lot of things moving, like more people, obviously, like things changing. Is this just them being like, do you know what? Here's your headliners. We're done. We need to have a break.
Who knows? I mean, I think it's a really interesting lineup. Not one that I would necessarily have chosen. I mean, I don't know one of them, so it's not very helpful. But,
A bit like Sophie.
You can't
Neil
please
Young,
everyone.
Sophie, Neil Young, what do you think? You'd be like,
great young man.
That song, he did great
young man.
Do you know what I love about Neil? He's so young.
He's so young.
He's so young. I love that about Neil.
So young, he's barely born.
Maybe that's why I haven't heard his music. Where is his music?
Neil
Anyway,
Young.
right.
Neil Young, if you're watching this, I'm sorry.
We're sorry, Neil.
I doubt you're watching this, but listen, if in some universe you are, I'm sorry I don't know your music.
No.
I will make it a point to go and listen to it afterwards. I'm sure it's great.
He loves that. Neil will love that.
Yeah.
He'll love that. Anyways, that's what we think about the Glastonbury lineup. Now, moving on.
Swiftly.
Now, with love, Meghan. What do we think?
Okay. I want to caveat this by saying I do not dislike Meghan.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Me neither. Yeah.
I do not dislike Meghan. I don't really particularly love her either. I feel quite indifferent to her, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I don't really mind what she does or doesn't do.
Quite neutral.
Yeah. Now, this show.
The show, though.
The show is what I actually have. I just am more confused.
Were you surprised by the format of the show? When you opened it, what did you go into the show expecting it to be?
Well, I didn't know, right? And I think I've come out watching it now being more confused than I was going into it, right?
That is not a good thing. If Netflix are watching, they're like, damn.
Yeah, but I don't think it's not Meghan's fault.
No.
Right, here's the thing. I don't want this criticism to be conflated with you have a dislike for Meghan.
Yeah.
Right?
It's got nothing to do with that. It's the format and how they've created the show.
I went into this thinking, okay, you're going to have like this sort of, you want to create this kind of lifestyle thing. So it's kind of, and it seems like it's going to be a documentary. So it's kind of going to be going about your day, showing the different things, you interacting with people, how you live your life, that kind of thing. Then you come into the show and you're like, the first thing you're doing is making honey. Fine, that kind of goes along with it. And then we're straight into a kitchen. Yeah. And then basically it's a cooking show.
But not her kitchen.
No. And she caveats this, right? So she's like, this is not my house.
Yeah.
This is not where I would normally cook. So you instantly, as the viewer, you're sitting there going, okay, so this isn't an observational documentary because obviously this isn't your real life.
Yeah.
From all the things that she's bringing up in the show and all the things that she's going through, you can tell it's very curated.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? You can see that everything that she's creating there's been a lot of thought put into it. It's prepped, you can see that she says like, oh, this is the first time I'm doing this, or I have never done this before. So it's not things that she does on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So instantly you're like, this is not an observational documentary.
Yeah.
Okay. So then this is a cooking show.
Yeah.
But then she never looks at the camera down the lens.
It is quite strange actually, because there's segments where, you know, you watch something like This Morning and they have that, you know, the segments with like James Martin, or they have a chef doing stuff, or, you know, Jamie Oliver or any of those chefs, when they're cooking with you in like a home environment, they're looking at you, aren't they?
Exactly.
They're talking to you saying like, this is how we prepare a dish. And as a viewer, you're obviously very
feel
engaged.
like you're included.
And you're included in the creation of this dish.
And the conversation.
Whereas with Meghan, she's kind of always looking at the director, clearly, or someone, or the producer.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, but you're telling us how to prepare a dish, but then you're not looking at us. So it feels really disconnected.
So I think that's the problem. Exactly. And I think that's the problem, is you sit there and you expect, and this is why I was like, what is going on here? Why am I not feeling invited into this storyline and invited into this space?
The world, yeah.
It's because it feels like, and this is, I think, what the problem is. It feels like you're watching somebody who's going about their day, because the style is in the style of an observational documentary. You have the director who's talking, the producers who are involved. It's like, oh, this is what's happening in my real life. Look, you're breaking that fourth wall. Mm-hmm. But then everything else on the set is extremely curated. So you know, and she says it's not her real life. So you know it's not her real life. But then it's like, okay, well, you know it's not your real life. I know it's not your real life. Why don't we just look at the camera? Like, talk to the elephant in the room. We all know.
Talk to me, yeah.
And if you were to talk to me and bring me into your space,
even though it's curated,
exactly, I would feel like I'm a part of a conversation rather than being a fly on the wall.
I get it, yeah.
I don't want to be, because it feels like she's presenting to the camera crew.
Yeah, not to us.
Not to us.
Not to
and
the
I'm
audience.
Like, no one would present to a camera crew. The whole point of the camera crew is that they're filming you present to me,
Do you
the
reckon
audience.
the camera team were like, hey, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
She won't stop looking at us.
But that's what I have a problem with. So then she comes off really shy.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she's not talking to the audience. So you're kind of sitting there and I'm like, yeah, but anybody would be shy when they're talking to 25 crew directly and not talking to a camera when they're doing it. Just, I felt like that one creative decision to go from looking down the lens, looking straight at camera, to actually having a conversation like this, it feels like you've cut out all of the audience, which is why you're cutting out that emotional, relationship that a host and the audience have. Yeah. And that's, I think, where the biggest failing is.
I totally agree with you. It also felt a little bit like that's where the barrier almost was.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, because you're not looking directly at me and sort of addressing me, it feels a little bit like we've got this wall up. Yeah. And I'm a bit like, oh, but I thought, you're bringing me into this sort of lifestyle.
Invite me into your world.
I want to be invited into your lifestyle. Bring me in and sort of hold my hand and guide me through it.
Exactly.
Like when she's had her guests on, like when she had the Mexican chef come on, it was weird. I watched that segment with him where they were cooking together, and I was so like, he felt very comfortable in that space. It was interesting. And he, at moments, he would look at the camera.
Yep.
It was really interesting. But because he's obviously a celebrity chef, he's used to doing those like dishes. He probably does stuff like YouTube and TV shows.
It was interesting because the guests were the ones who were bringing the camera in.
Yes.
So Mindy Kaling did the same thing. She showed the camera. She's like, I'm breaking the fourth wall. Yeah. And showed the camera something.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And it was interesting how all the guests gravitated towards showing the camera something, because that's what you do when you're on that kind of a show. Yeah. That's what you do. You think about a show like This Morning, Sunday Brunch, all of those kinds of shows. Oh, sorry, I didn't mute my phone, I realised. But you bring the audience in.
Yeah.
So the way that these actors or presenters or people guests who she has on the show were naturally gravitating towards wanting to show the camera, because that's the audience.
Of course, yeah. And because they're like creating something. It's kind of like, oh, so this is what we do here, and this is what I add here for seasoning, and all those things.
It feels like, exactly, and it feels like Meghan was teaching us something, but they're not acknowledging us.
But not directly speaking to us. Yeah, it is.
And that's why I was like, something's off.
Yeah, something's off about it. No, I get it. I feel like that's the main thing. I feel like
I did enjoy it otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it has come under... It's interesting because it's come under a little bit of heat as well for being very similar to Pamela Anderson's cooking show.
And Pamela Anderson's was similar to Martha Stewart's.
Yeah, but that's what I was about to follow up with. I personally don't really see much like value in that sort of argument, because it's kind of like, you watch any of those shows, they're all the same. Yeah. Like the only thing with Meghan's is Why is she not looking to camera? She should definitely be looking to camera.
I mean, I don't know if Pamela Anderson's show does that. Maybe it does.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd have the same criticism if it was. It was. I think that's the thing. Anything that Meghan does, she's going to get heat from just by the nature, because she is divisive.
Yeah.
Just there's nothing she can do about that. That's, and there's nothing she does. If she'd made a really deep and profound film or show, people would have a problem with that too. So I don't think those kinds of criticisms are necessarily relevant. I think if we're going to criticize the show, let's criticize the show in a way that's constructive in terms of the actual format and the creative choices that were made, and not somebody who's leading it. So when
Meghan gets a bag of pretzels from one plastic bag and pours them into another, we shouldn't criticize that.
Listen, it felt like it was an Instagram 2014 moment.
I'm joking.
But but at the same time, no, I don't think we should criticize that. Because I know it is funny to do that, but think about how many shows on television. Sorry, how many times have Homes Under the Hammer done the same show again and again and again?
Absolutely,
and again?
absolutely.
And nobody, I watched that show. I love that show.
You love that show?
I do. But look, I'm not saying it's not bad, but why are we holding judgment on, passing judgment on Meghan doing that and not passing judgment on all the other shows that do the same thing?
I think we do. We do pass judgment on every show ever.
Yeah, but he doesn't get this.
You certainly do. You pass judgment on every show ever made.
Quite a judgmental person, I am.
Yeah, you would have been like, I wouldn't have done it that way.
I wouldn't have.
Change it again.
I wouldn't have.
But yeah, I mean, if you haven't watched it, go watch it, because it is worth a watch. But yeah, I mean, look, how can we ever compare ourselves? She is a princess at the end of the day. She does have a duchess. Sorry, she's a duchess. She's in the royal family. There's always going to be a bit of a disconnect between someone like myself, who runs a video production company. I'm not. I'm married to a princess.
Yeah, passenger princess.
Yeah, definitely a passenger princess. But yeah, there's always going to be a disconnect there.
Of course there is.
But I do agree with you that that's the biggest throw for me. The biggest thing, for me, is I feel disconnected in more from Meghan because she's not addressing things directly to me. So it's kind of like you're bringing me into this extremely curated, perfect lifestyle, but you're not telling me all the elements that make it great, and you're not looking directly in my eye, which is something I would want.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? You just want somebody to bring you into. If you're going to do a whole series around this is my world,
cooking and living in life and home vibes,
bring the camera with me, bring the audience with you.
Yeah.
Don't ignore that one whole point. It's the whole point.
Do you think that they got into the edit and they went, oh my God, she's not looking at camera? And they were like, just call her Darren. I can't call her, can I? I can't call her now.
I think, from our experience, when you get in a room, that we've had the conversations on set. Yes, we have.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
where it's been, am I looking at the camera? Do you think we should be addressing camera? Do you think we should be addressing the interviewer? What's the best way to do this? And having those creative conversations happen in advance, because they have a ginormous impact on how the show feels.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, by looking in the camera, you completely eradicate that fly on the wall feeling that you get as an audience.
Observational feeling.
Which is what you want from a documentary.
Yeah.
But this wasn't a documentary,
no.
we well know.
No. It was a documentary. It was trying to be a new blend, I think, of a documentary with a lifestyle cooking show.
Yeah.
And
can we also talk about the graphics from 1 second?
Go on then.
The graphics really annoyed me. You know that little box when they went out, because they weren't even.
I thought you weren't judgmental.
Yeah, but they weren't even, right?
Oh, right.
I took a tape measure to our TV to measure how far off they were, right? At the top,
audience will love to know this.
The box was 2 centimeters. No, it was 1.5 centimeters. At the bottom, it was 2 centimeters. It was half a centimeter out. That is a lot on a big screen TV. It was so obvious that I noticed it, and I was like, come on. And I know from your job that was just because they didn't do the maths correctly.
Yeah, they didn't.
To the editor of With Love, Meghan, sort it out. Okay? I noticed it. It annoyed me.
Yeah.
Not again.
You don't want this one on your case. God.
How did that pass QC?
We'll never know.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
And on that bombshell.
On that bombshell. Yeah. Are we going to do the game?
Oh.
Or are we going to leave the game?
Well, I feel like we've been rambling on for 30
We have been rambling
minutes.
on tonight, actually, haven't we?
Do you know what? Why don't
It's
we leave
episode
the game?
10. Do you know what? We're going to leave the game.
Yeah.
Are you all right leaving the game?
I'm all right leaving the game.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about loads of things. You know.
I feel like let's not ramble on for too much longer because you guys might just get bored or, turn off. And we don't want that. So we'll do an extra special game next week. For
Exactly. We're just going to make a whole game show next week.
Yep. We'll look at the camera though, don't worry.
We'll look directly down the lens. I'm going to put a border on this video so you can all measure it at home as well, and especially for Sophie. And I'm going to make sure that it's exactly 2 centimetres out of line.
No.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
On that bombshell, thank you ever so much for joining us again for episode 10 of The Media Couple. If you could please subscribe to the channel and comment, please tell us all your thoughts on this episode and the things we've discussed. We would absolutely love it. And yeah, thank you so much for your continued support.
Yeah, what he said. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.